Good evening. My name is Brent. Andy Cawthorn Auto Sales is located US 1 South in Alma, Georgia. Andy specializes in late model cars and trucks with financing available. Andy has been in the automobile business for 30 years and over 10 years in Alma. Come experience the hometown friendly service at Andy Cawthorn Auto Sales. Like them on Facebook for the latest deals. Johnson, along with head coach Kyle Langford of the Red Raider football team. This is week 3 installment of the Red Raider Coaches Show. I want to thank you for joining us this week. First of all, Coach, we want to, as usual, thank some folks that are pretty important for these young men's lives and your coaches and our community. These are the ones that help provide either monetary or they provide a product for the meals that we're able to provide our kids on Fridays for pregame breakfast and pregame meal.
And we've never, the saying is still true. We don't go without, and these boys are well fed, and there's a lot of people that go into it. You think about it, and sometimes it's easy to say, well, somebody will take care of it, old Mr. Joe or whoever will take care of it, but it doesn't go like that. It's a lot of people together that want to make sure these boys have all they need. We had a fabulous pregame meal this week. And I know people say, well, you say it every week, but it's true. When it's not true, I'll quit saying it. But we went to Southside Church of God this week, and it was fantastic. And the message was outstanding, the program, and then the food was just, there was more food than I've ever seen, and the boys really enjoyed it. And so they had us fueled up and ready to go, and then breakfast that Friday morning was good as always. And like I said, I know I said last week there was more people helping, but I swear to you there was more people there this week even. And so that's a real, I think that's a real compliment to the people of this town and the people that want to take care of these boys and see about them and give them all they need to be successful on the field. We give them the fuel they need, and now as coaches and players, we got to do our job.
That's right. Well, we want to specifically thank DLE and Sons for the meat that they provide for breakfasts. Mr. Daniel Moore, as well as Taylor Farms, again for providing some product, and then we want to definitely thank all those. There are just too many to number. Maybe the latter show or so of the season, we'll call out every name of every.
We ought to bring them in here. We ought to bring them into a walkthrough or something.
Yeah. What I do is I need to get some footage.
Right,
that morning,
exactly.
Add that to the show. I can do that.
We might schedule that at our house. Maybe have something.
That's right. Also, before we go any further, we want to thank the gold sponsors for the Red Raider Touchdown Club, and those include Jay's IGA, Burt CPA, Access ATC, Clean Air and Electric, Bacon County Hospital System, Lassiter Tractor, and Bennett and Johnson Insurance Agency. And they're also the title sponsor for the football broadcasts throughout the season.
And I tell you what, and another one that, that it's sort of, he likes to be overlooked sometimes, but we don't overlook him, Mr. Ted out there at Blueberry, and how he takes care of us. And boy, that's a stout group you just listed there, and we always look for more though. So we look for others, and but that group there, we can count on them, and we appreciate them so much and what they do for this school. Not just football, but they do it for all sports and for the classroom and for the community. Every time you look at something going on in this community, those people right there are always in the middle of it, and that's a real feather in their cap.
Yeah. Well, Coach, last week we kind of had Christmas came early. We had a home game instead of an away game due to some unfortunate circumstances in Berrien County as they're renovating / building a stadium there. Very similar to ours from what I understand, but they wasn't quite ready, so we rescheduled the game to be home, and I thought that worked out very well. I thought our crowd we had represented us very well.
Had a good crowd.
They brought a pretty good group as
They
well
did.
from Berrien County. We were pleased to see that. And they brought a similar team that looked a little different on the field as far as the way they lined it up. Coach, tell us a little bit about Friday night, how it went down.
Well, you know, if you go back to last week, I promise you, if you look at the film, the two things that I told you were 100% accurate. Number 20 is a very good player, and number 9. Mm-hmm. And those two, you know, head and shoulders above, but they were very good defensively. I thought number 23 was the best defensive player on the field. I thought he was really good. He's about 6'4", long guy, and he really gave us problems because he could cover in pass concepts, and he could still come up on a run and set the edge there, and I thought he did a good job of that. You know, Berrien is very athletic. They got athletic kids, had good-looking kids, and then they were well coached. You know, if you come up, I guess, with a couple minutes to go in the first half, things feeling real good, and it's just, I told somebody it's an old-timey football game. You know, it really looked like an old-timey game. There's a lot of hitting, a lot of people being physical, a lot of people being stubborn. And up to that point, right before the half, everything was going right according to plan. They made a big play on the screen with a really quick guy, and ended up leading to their first score. So we go into half 6-0, which, you know, we weren't panicked at all. And even though we hadn't done anything on offense, we felt like some opportunities were still there. We inserted this past week, we're heavy on the jet sweep package. And we ran more of those than we've probably run in the last 2 years, easy. So we tried to make them go sideline to sideline. They were sure fast enough to handle that. And, you know, we didn't get anything going offensively first half or second half for one reason or another. But we're going to keep on working and keep, you know, you don't just say, well, something don't work and we're doomed and everything else. We got to find something that fits our kids. We change things we do to accommodate them. And that's what we've done this week. But I thought defensively, even the second half, you know, the reality of it was late in the game, it's 12-0 game. Mm-hmm. And we kept thinking if we get the ball back and make a play that we'll be fine. Now, offensively, we were inside the 40 4 times and came away with 0 points and didn't even really threaten them inside the 40, but we had 4 opportunities to score points, and we don't move the ball. And we don't complete passes, and we don't catch passes. I mean, so it's just a tornado of bad going on at that time. And but those 4 opportunities we had to make something happen, and we just didn't get it done.
Well, I kept saying I was very pleased with our defensive play, and I have been all season long overall. And we continue to take a step to get even better on defense from week to week.
I thought we were even better this week as far as being gap sound. Mm-hmm. I didn't think we had people in the right gap all night. And it's real funny when you do what you coach to do, those kind of things happen. And I thought the effort was real good. On the back end, the alignment was messed up a little bit, and for whatever reason, I had some confusion there. But once we got tried to get that straightened out, then I felt like we played okay for the most part.
Well, I was up in the booth and had a little conversation with the radio guys up there, just brief after the first quarter and halfway through the second quarter. You know, we were concerned that, you know, you mentioned those 2 guys. It was 20, 23, 9 very athletic kids. Yep. They're bound to get loose at some point in time. It just is what it is. They're bound to get loose.
Even for us on the field, it kept feeling like 20. You know, he was probably at least 4 times close to taking it 80.
Oh, yeah.
And he was that kind of player. To our young men's credit, we didn't allow that to happen.
That's
exactly this is a guy that's averaging well over 100 yards a game. And while he did have 2 touchdowns, both of them relatively short touchdowns. So we did a good job on that. But it was pure effort because you think about on the screen, they busted it for 60, and we had a kid knock him down at the 2.
That's right.
Which was fantastic effort, which at least gave us a chance to redeem ourselves.
That's right.
And then on the other one, we had a long run that we had to knock him down. So, you know, they did have plays. They had chunk plays, which we had none of.
Right.
I think that was really the difference in the ball game. They had probably 4 or 5 plays that were 20-plus yards,
right,
whereas we had 0. We actually had 2, and both of them were called back on penalties, thanks to mistakes on our part. But so you don't give yourself a chance when you don't have plays like that where you can swap the field,
right,
and put them on their heels. We never were able to do that.
Coach, how do we look injury-wise, other than we know one of our linemen,
Cam Preston, they're still evaluating him. I think he'll go back next week to get looked at with upper body injury. That we feel good about that, about him going down the road for us. Really, there was nothing, nothing that sticks out to me. I'm sure I'm probably forgetting something, but there was nothing catastrophic. Nobody was, I think, would be in jeopardy of missing Friday night's game. So that's always good. And the kicker was in such a physical game like that, which is what I'm glad we saw in a physical game like that, to come out of it fairly healthy, is certainly a positive for us at this point, because we're just now starting to move in a direction I think is positive, and we need everybody, all hands on deck. We need everybody healthy, and we've had a pretty good week of practice. I think a couple of days were really better than others, but the kids are still working hard. There's nothing wrong with the way the kids work.
Well, that's the key, is the kids staying focused. You're talking about 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old guys. You start season, 0-3, which has been done. It happens all the time. We're not in our region schedule, and we won't be for another 2 weeks. None of these teams, and not to make excuses, but we talked about this before. None of these teams are going to get us in the playoffs. They're only going to make us better, tried and tested. We sure will be that.
Well, you can schedule JV teams and be undefeated in the regular if you choose to, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody loves a winner, and that's fine too. But for us, I think the way that we approach it is we do play a little bit better quality of teams than most people, and that's the risk you run. I mean, on years that you win those games, boy, everybody's beating their chest and you're feeling real good, and years where you come up a little short, then you're saying, woe is me, and that's just not the case. That has, our single and foremost goal is to make state playoffs, and that's irregardless of how we get there. But, whether you're 0-4 or 4-0 with these 4 games here, I mean, it is what it is. We all like to win, and that's why we're here, and that's why they turn the scoreboard on Friday nights. But it's certainly, I don't lose any sleep over it, and I tell our kids that too. Last time I checked, they ain't giving away rings or trophies for these first 4 weeks. But it's the opportunity to be in that position to win a ring or a trophy that's important for us. And we take all these games serious, but at the same time, it's like every year somebody dumps out your puzzle on the floor. So you're trying to find where pieces fit and which pieces you can use and which pieces you don't need right now. And so that's the process we're in now. And I think we're starting to get maybe some corners put together on this puzzle, the way it looked last week. And now we've got to get down and get the meat of it, figure it out, and start putting that together too. And it's just, we got to do a better job of coaching. The players got to do a better job playing and being coachable. And, I feel confident that we're on that track. But it's like they say, we ain't done it yet. Right. I mean, I believe we can do it, but we haven't done it yet. Yeah. So I'm just glad for another opportunity Friday night.
That's right. And that's what we're looking forward to this Friday night, as we will be headed over to McRae, Georgia, about 46-mile trek to take on Telfair County. And before we discuss that, we're going to take a quick break here. Again, I want to thank you for joining us on the 3rd installment of the Red Raider Coaches Show.
At Family Vision Care, we believe life is all about your vision. Family Vision Care is the leading provider of optometry services and vision care products in the Alma community, and we want to help you achieve and maintain a clear vision for years to come. Doctors James McQuaig and Blake Hutto and their staff provide award-winning eye care service for Southeast Georgia. With the newly constructed office filled with state-of-the-art equipment, they can diagnose and correct your vision with detailed accuracy. Visit www.fvcalma.com.
All right, welcome back to the second part of our Red Raider Coaches Show. I'm Brent Johnson along with head coach Kyle Langford of the Red Raiders. We are gearing up for the fourth week of the regular season, in which we'll be traveling over to McRae, Georgia to face the Telfair County High School. What's their mascot? Trojans. Yeah.
Telfair County.
They're a sort of a powder blue and white team, in which we faced them last year here. Coach, they were pretty athletic last year. I know their quarterback was, and I think maybe he graduated, but
yeah, he did. He was probably the best pound for pound player we played all last year. I was really impressed with him. And they were a playoff team from a year ago, just like everybody else we play on the schedule, it seems like. They'll be a playoff team again this year. A very good team. Coach Burleson over there, I think it's his 8th year at McRae, and he sort of dug his heels in there and is really starting to reap the benefits of that. Offensively, they'll be a spread team, very, very similar to us in what we do, scheme-wise. And they have got some outstanding athletes. A little quarterback. He's a good-looking kid, left-handed guy, and he throws it around. As of right now, if I were going to tell you, I would say they're probably 60-65% throwing. They do run it. They do have good running backs, but you know they think that suits them better to throw it, and they throw it a lot. And they've had a lot of success, and they really gave Blakely a much bigger school. They gave them a fit last week over there in Cochran. But you know, defensively, they're a 4-man front. So they'll be a 4-2-5 team. They'll have 5 DBs out in coverage, 2 linebackers, and then they're pretty good up front. And one thing that's important to note is, you know, I thought they were really good on the offensive and defensive lines last year. And then to make matters worse, all those guys returned. While they did lose some key positions, they lost a linebacker, quarterback, receiver, and running back. They're still very, very good and a very dangerous team. And once again, we will have our hands full this Friday night as well.
Well, when you say that they will predominantly throw the ball, or at least that's what they've done on film, from what I've seen of our defense, we've been able to put some pressure on some really good quarterbacks already this season.
We have. But their scheme's a little different than most. Theirs is going to be a rhythm situation. He's not holding it and reading stuff. He's going to catch it, throw it, and get the ball out. And one thing we've got to do, I think we've got good players on the back end of our defense, is we've got to convert those knockdowns. It seems like we have 3 or 4 knockdowns every week, and we've got to convert those to turnovers and even points.
That's right.
I told them Friday night, a turnover on defense may change the fortune of everybody. We all might relax and play football then, but we're going to have opportunity Friday night. We will have opportunities to make plays. Now, whether we do it or not, it's strictly up to us. But they're going to give us opportunities, and I think we've done a good job preparing this week. One thing that's that you wish was different is we're asking those DBs to go out and run around for us and play 30, 40 snaps on offense, and then turn around and play 60 or 70 on defense. So it is taxing. And sometimes you look at a guy and say, boy, he should have made that play. Well, didn't the guy just come off the field,
right,
on offense, and it's difficult to do. I think we're getting better conditioned as the weeks go. And these are tough boys. We've got to make plays, and we've worked on positioning and ball skills with our DBs this week, and I feel good about that. And I think somebody's going to make one this week. We've been real close every game, but I think it's time we make something happen.
Would be a similar defensive scheme as far as how many linebackers / defensive backs we'll have. Will they be 4 wide?
Yeah, they're 4 wide. They'll be 4 wide the whole game, and. So for us, nothing really changes. That's the good thing about 4-3. It's pretty versatile defense, and so we're not changing a whole lot. And I think when you go trying to change and match people scheme for scheme, then they get you doing something you don't want to do. And so we're going to do what we do on defense and offensively. We hope we can block. We're going to block them a little better, and we hope we hit the holes. And I think if we can get this thing running, you know, even though we haven't been really successful throwing and catching it, I do feel good about our passing game. I feel good about our receivers and their knowledge of what we're trying to do. And but it's hard to throw it when everybody's flying out of the box because they don't feel like you can run the ball. So that's something we're committed to. I'm still committed to it. And we've changed a thing or two this week trying to help us run the ball. And, you know, we just got to get on the good side of that. I'd love to see a 100-yard rushing game by us. And I think you'd see more opportunities open up down the field to get vertical on people like that.
Well, I think it's easy to see, especially on some of the running plays we've had in the season, but more so in our kickoff return games that we've got some backs that can run.
Right, we've got a couple
they're
guys
athletic.
can run.
You know, they can run. We just got to, you know, like I said, open up some holes and just make some plays there.
Well, you know, Xavier ain't very big. He don't need much of a hole, but at the same time, we go back on film, we look at the play and say, oh boy, we blocked that terrible. But, you know, maybe he didn't hit the hole right.
Right.
You know, so it's like I told the boys Monday, it's always easy to look and say, Lord help, the line didn't block a soul and didn't do this and that. And that may be true, but at the same time, maybe the quarterback didn't make the right check on something. Mm-hmm. Maybe the running back didn't hit the hole where it's designed to be hit. So, and Lord knows the receivers didn't block very well Friday night, so they have enough blame on themselves. So it's always 11. It's never just one group, and it's always easy, and you hear it in the crowd, or block somebody and all that. Well, that's easier said than done, and it's always more than just one or two people,
right.
You know, and that's what you hate to see with kids is they're kids, they put a great commitment to play this game. The effort and the sacrifice they make to represent our school is just unmatched. And because last time I checked, there ain't nobody else getting up at 4 in the morning practicing football. So the sacrifice we make is great. And, you know, if we don't make a play or it's not right, guess what? We didn't coach them up good enough. And that's one thing we'll maintain. And we'll work better. And the boys, they'll work like they always do and work better and smarter. And it won't be long before we'll be making plays out there and getting the job done and having a chance to win these ball games.
And I think you said it earlier. You know, it may be because our defense has played obviously the most consistent on that side of the ball. It could be a key defensive play that helps us to turn that corner. You know, to perk us up. Those same kids that are turning around and playing on the offensive side of the ball because they're going both ways puts a little kick in their step.
Right. And on the same note, similar note, I thought special teams was really outstanding Friday night. We had negative return yards in the kicking game and blocked 2 extra points. So those pieces are coming together.
Right.
So right now you're looking at a defense that's playing fairly well. You know, we're not where we want to be, but we're playing well enough to win. And special teams that look very good. All the snaps are very good. I thought Austin Meadows did an excellent job. His best job of his career Friday night.
Perfect. That's right.
And then, so now we need that third part to come together. Now we need the offense to contribute. And when you see all those, that's when you know you got the good team. So right now we're not a very good team, but that's not a secret to anybody. But we're working to get there. Yeah. And we'll make that, like I told them also, I told them this morning, we'll make the assessment if we're a good team or not after week 10.
That's right.
You know, after week 10, that's when all the cards are on the table, you know.
Now, you know, and we'll just touch on this and we'll get on out of here, but, you know, at some point, it goes from, and we all know most sports are more psychological than they are physical. You know, when the boys, you know, how tough is it for a coach to stare at a room of guys and, you know, after, you know, whether it's, you know, because most of the boys in there, they see the win and loss. They don't see the individual plays. Even when you go through film, you know, the crowd and the stands, they see the game as a whole. It's a loss or whatever. You know, how difficult or you know, is it to, or what do you say?
Well,
how do you talk to them?
We've preached this since we got here, and this is no mystery. We don't look at the scoreboard. We don't take that into account, winning or losing. All right, we come out at halftime at 0-0. When we go out before the game at 0-0, irregardless of what it is at halftime, it's always to us 0-0. And when we go back and make evaluation of success, when we grade our kids, each kid gets graded every week, and we say, did you do your job? Now, if I have 11 people on offense that all do their job, guess what? We're successful. Same on defense. So that's our end result for us is, did you do your job? Mm-hmm. And if you did, okay, then now we can go on and let me check the next guy. But now if we look out there and I've got only 2 or 3 out of 11 doing their job, then guess what? We're not going to be successful at that rate. So we try to be real pointed on what we got our kids to. Win the opening kickoff. If we win the opening kickoff, now we got to win first down. If we win first down, now we want to win second down. And then that builds to quarters. Okay, did we win the first quarter? Yeah, we did. Did we win the second quarter? We're close. Yeah, we did. So when you start building blocks like that, it's not as simple as just say, oh, we won or lost.
Right.
Well, because there's always things that make winning and losing possible.
That's right.
You know, do you make dumb mistakes in special teams? Do you turn the ball over? You know, and then those things pile up too. And the old story, Herb Russell said this 100 times, and this is true: the team that makes the least mistakes usually wins. And so we go back and evaluate it in that way.
Well, I appreciate that explanation, and I know the folks watching the show does too. That makes just perfect sense of how you evaluate success, because in any sport or any competition,
or even in life,
that's right.
If they come in and evaluate me and you, and did you do your job? Yeah, I did my job. Okay, good. Did I not do my job? Okay, we got some work to do, and that's for nurses, for people that work on cars, people that work out in the fields. I mean, everybody's got an assessment made on their job. And for us, we wake up every morning and say, we're going to do our job to the best of our ability. And once that's done, we let the chips fall where they may.
That's right. Well, Coach, I appreciate you being here with us this afternoon. I know our viewers do. I want to thank you for joining us again on this third episode of the Red Raider Coaches Show. And I hope you'll join us this Friday night as we travel to McRae, Georgia. Again, only about 45, 46 miles.
You can go get your picture made with the Statue of Liberty in McRae.
Yeah.
So get there early. That'd be a lot of fun for the kids.
That's right. That's right. South, well, I guess west of town there on the right when you headed that way. There's a Statue of Liberty there. I forgot. So I encourage you to come out, support our Red Raiders, cheerleaders, band, and Raider Nation, and look forward to another successful night.
Yeah, we're going to get after it. Well, one thing about it, we're going to play hard, and that's one thing. When you show up and pay your $7 or $8, you know we're going to play as hard as we can play for 4 quarters.
That's right. We want to thank our gold sponsors again on behalf of the Red Raider Booster Club, Touchdown Club, Jay's IGA, Burt CPA, Access ATC, Clean Air and Electric, Bacon County Hospital System, Lassiter Tractor, and Bennett Johnson Insurance. So again, I want to thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next week on the Red Raider Coaches Show. Alarm for every time the bell rings.
Bombs going off or something.